high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, give me a call right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 9 o'clock tonight. It's kind of a light show, man. Light show. Today, we're going to talk about the UFC released the Malignaggi McGregor sparring video. And let me tell you what, Beeb and I studied this all weekend like the Patterson Bigfoot footage. We'll tell you exactly what happened. Gervonta Davis's next title defense will be against top-rated contender. No, not really. We'll have all the details on who he's fighting, though. But first, we get started with this weekend's action, and there really wasn't a whole lot. Amenaza Garcia defeats Omar Chavez, Julio's brother and Julio's son, by the scores of 97-92 and 96-93 twice. Yuriorkis Gamboa continues his winning ways as he defeats Alexis Reyes by a razor-thin decision, 95-94, 95-94, and actually a split or a majority decision, 94-94. So razor thin. So Gamboa getting lucky with the judges. There it is. That was this weekend's action. So there you go. So not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot going on. So, which means we will look ahead. Robert, August 18th. That's Friday, yes?
Yes, that's a Friday.
There it is. From Puerto Rico on ESPN, Alberto Machado versus Carlos Morales, 10 rounds junior lightweights, and Emmanuel Rivera versus Nathaniel Searson, 8 rounds bantamweights. August 19th, the big one, from Lincoln, Nebraska. You ever think you'd hear the big one in Lincoln, Nebraska in the same sentence? On ESPN, Terence Crawford versus TBE Julius Indongo, 12 rounds. For it all, the 140-pound championship, IBF, WBA, WBO, WBC, all on the line, 4 belts on the line. On the undercard, Alexander Gvozdyk versus Craig Baker, 10 rounds light heavyweights. Shakur Stevenson also on the bill versus David Paz, 6 rounds featherweights. Mile High Mike Alvarado, Robbie's boy, versus Sidney De Sequeira, 8 rounds welterweights. Bryant Bye-Bye Jennings versus Daniel Martz, 8 rounds heavyweights. Dillian White on the card. I wish he was televised. He's not going to be televised, though. Versus Malcolm Tan, 8 rounds heavyweights. Beeb, your boy, Nicholas, the Axeman Walters, returns against Arturo Santos, 8 rounds, junior lightweights. And that's the card. I wonder how much of that we'll see. I think it's just two or three fights, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see here. From Canada, it won't be televised at Brampton, Canada. Sammy Vargas versus Ali Funica, 10 rounds welterweights. And let's see here. I think that might do it. I think that's it. That is it. That is it. There you go. So that's the story for this weekend coming up. Let's talk a little bit about the big one, man. Let's talk about Terence Crawford versus Julius Indongo for all the gold. Robert, what do you think about this fight?
Well, I think boxing fans should get behind this fight. I know we don't know a whole lot about Julius Indongo, although he's went into places twice now. Keep this in mind. He's went into places twice now and walked out with belts when he wasn't supposed to win either fight.
Went to Russia and England, wasn't it?
Russia and Scotland.
That's what it was.
Burns. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, you got to take the dude seriously. But this is the first, we talked about this before the show. This is the first time in 12 years that there has been a fight where all 4 belts have been on the line. So this is something you got to get behind. I think Crawford will win the fight, but just for the historical facts alone, this is something we got to pay attention to. And it's on ESPN. Everybody can see it. You don't have to pay extra for it. All you got to do is have regular cable, brother. That's it.
There it is. There it is. So you think Crawford wins this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll tell you what, I would have picked Indongo in this fight if I didn't see the Crawford Postal fight. If I didn't see the Crawford Postal fight, I'm 100% picking Indongo in this fight because Indongo's a really talented fighter, former Olympian. He's got size, speed, strength. I mean, he's got everything going for him. But, man, I tell you what, the way Crawford – but he fights a lot like Postal. I mean, he's got the jab and everything. He's got the same body type. He fights a lot like him. Obviously, they're not mirror images of each other. And I think Indongo is a lot better fighter. But I tell you what, man, the way Crawford took apart Postal, I don't see anything. Yeah, I think he does the same thing to Indongo. I really do. And I hate to see that, man, because I really like Indongo a lot. But I see Crawford pulling this one out. I don't think he stops him, but I think it may be a one-way
well, and
decision.
The scary part about Terence Crawford, he's the first fighter I've ever seen, Eric, that I can remember anyway, who's able to fight either way, whether it's orthodox or southpaw, and he can dominate a guy no matter which way he decides to fight. I mean, if you're a fighter and you're preparing to fight Terence Crawford, how do you prepare for him? Because you never know what he's going to throw at you.
I agree. Beeb, how do you see this one going?
Well, you know, it's funny because you would think that the size of Indongo and him being a southpaw would present problems. But the thing is, Crawford's feet are just so quick, and it's hard to pin him down, and it's hard to keep him at a range where you're comfortable at. Because we've seen, you know, Gamboa, even guys like Hank Lundy, and you mentioned earlier that he's a slow starter. We've seen how he sometimes lays back, and I don't know if he does this on purpose or not, where he just wants to see what his opponent has, a la Gennady Golovkin. But it seems like when there's a little bit of space between him and his opponent, that's when he gets tagged, and you know, particularly when he's in the southpaw stance, seems like he's a little bit easier to hit as opposed to him being in the orthodox stance. But with all that being said, when he decides that he's going to turn it up and he wants to change things up a little bit, you know, he got in Postal's. This is a family show, but he got in Postal's ass. I mean, he closed that distance and he started walking him back a little bit. And when he got in that mid-range area, he's just so precise with those shots in that mid-range area. He's got that sneaky right hook when he throws it from the southpaw stance. And you know, the funny thing about him is he just has a wide array and variety of punches that he throws. You know, a lot of times he'll throw shots up the middle, but then sometimes he'll just open him up just a little bit, just enough to hook him around the guard. And he's just a tough guy to defend against because, you know, he has just such a great punch selection and just such a variety of punches he can throw in a variety of different ways. And he's a good body puncher. And, you know, he's got a great pair of legs on him. That's the thing. That's the thing, too. And even when he decides to set up shop in the pocket, he's really slick and slippery up in that pocket as well with the upper body movement, head and shoulders. And he's just a tough guy. He's an extremely versatile guy. And the one thing that he has, when you look at some of these other guys that are in this so-called pound-for-pound list, is the one thing that he has over these guys is he can punch. He's an explosive puncher. He's heavy-handed, but not only heavy-handed, he's very sneaky with those shots, and he'll hit you with those shots that you don't see. But even if you do see him, he's still going to hurt you and get your attention. You know, Indongo is a tall, lanky guy, but he's a guy that, you know, likes to throw flurries. He's not a guy that's really consistently working behind that jab. He's not the conventional tall guy with the reach. Even in the Ricky Burns fight, you know, he fought Ricky Burns' fight for a great part of that fight. But the thing is Ricky Burns is just very sharp-worn, and he lost a step. And, you know, he fought up close And he just basically threw a lot of flurries. Didn't look like he really hurt Ricky Burns, but he just overwhelmed him with a high punch output. And that's how he won the rounds. It wasn't like he really hurt Ricky Burns at all. Now, if he tries to, fight at that pace against Crawford, that's going to give Crawford more opportunities to land. And, when you try to against Crawford, so far, he's been the guy who's always been in the driver's seat in that department, because he's just out slicking guys and out powering guys. Like, he's walking guys down, he's hurting guys. Victor Postal totally shelled up in that fight after getting hurt a few times and getting knocked down a few times against Crawford. And I thought Crawford kind of coasted at the end of that fight. I thought he could have took out Postal. And even against Delorme, who's a very good fighter, tall and lanky guy who fights very well at a distance, Crawford was able to get his ass too, and he walked him down and he hurt him. So I'm not so sure that Indongo goes the distance in this fight. I think either way you slice it up, Crawford's going to win a pretty decisive win here, a pretty decisive decision. But I'm not so sure he can't stop Indongo. But just to play it safe, I'm just going to say that the safe bet would just be Crawford to win here. So, with all due respect to Indongo, I don't see a way that he's going to be able to win this fight because of the lack of punching power, because he doesn't really work consistently behind that jab. So that's just how I see it.
Do you think this fight looks a lot like the Mayweather-Corrales fight?
Yes. Very, very good point here. Very good point. Yeah, I see it shaping up like that. And the thing is this: because Indongo is so willing to exchange, he's not a guy who really uses a lot of the ring. Because he's a guy who's willing to exchange, and he likes to kind of use ambush type tactics. But the thing is he doesn't really. He has a tendency to stay in the pocket, longer than you would think he should. You know what I'm saying? So, Burns was hitting him a few times. It wasn't like Burns wasn't, able to touch him. This wasn't a fight where he was like a slick boxer. This was just a guy who overwhelmed another guy who was just able to blanket a guy with punches. And because the other guy was just a little bit slower and a little bit past it, that's why he was so successful. Even in the Troyanowski fight, that guy is 37 years old. He's not in his physical prime anymore either. So he's going to be in there with a prime, young Crawford, and if he decides to, that I'm going to get into a slugging match with Crawford, I'm going to try and go punch for punch. Crawford's also good at punching, in between his punch, his opponent's combinations. So he can get you in between a combination, So Crawford's just got it all, and I don't think that Indongo brings enough firepower to stop Crawford from doing what he wants to do in this fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that to me anyway, I think that Crawford has got too many ways to win. And we haven't seen a lot of Indongo. I mean, I've seen enough of him, and you and I have, we've all seen enough of him to kind of look at him and say, is he ready for Crawford, man? I don't know. He's definitely a good fighter. He's definitely got power. I just think Crawford is a little bit too skilled at this stage, but he does start slow. And that's the big thing, man. He does start slow. So there you go.
This could be a fight where he decides he wants to make a statement, though, because it's for all the marbles, all 4 belts. He's looking to get a Pacquiao fight. He's looking to get a big money fight against one of the welterweight champions, possibly. This could be that fight where he decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this guy out.
Yeah, that could be. Now let's talk about the undercard here. Alexander Gvozdyk versus Craig Baker. And all of these fights to me look like
showcases.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Squash matches,
Yeah, man. And Gvozdyk is pretty solid too.
They're all showcases, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so another ESPN gets a good main event and a bunch of squashes a la PBC type stuff, Alexander Gvozdyk versus Craig Baker. To me, this is kind of a no-brainer. I think that Gvozdyk walks right through him. Shakur Stevenson versus David Paz. I'm real interested to see like how far Shakur has come. you know, how much he's improving, you know, from his first fight to now this fight, because he seems to be improving a lot. But the big knock on him is that power. You know, he doesn't carry a lot of power, so we'll have to wait and see. Robert, this is a special weekend for you. August 19th, your boy Mile High Mike Alvarado fights Sidney DeSiguera. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I don't know anything about his opponent. Mike should win, but Mike probably shouldn't even be fighting anymore. But you know, what do I know?
Oh, what's the matter with you? He's your boy, man. What's the matter with you? Brian.
No, he's not my boy.
Brian Jennings versus Daniel Martz. Beeb, this next one's for you. Dillian White versus Malcolm Tan, 8 rounds heavyweights. You surprised to see Dillian White in Nebraska?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's a pretty odd place for him to end up, isn't it? He's usually a guy that's sets up shop over in the UK. So
is Eddie Hearn still his promoter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Best promoter in the business. Of course. Why would he leave the best promoter in the business?
That's why he's on the card fighting 7th, not even televised.
I wonder, in all seriousness, guys, I wonder if this is a possible setup. I wonder if this is a possible setup for White to fight Jennings next.
That's a possibility.
That would be a good fight, too.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I think White kills him, but yeah. The main guy, Nicholas, the Axeman Walter, is trying to come back. This is, you know what? This is an interesting fight, man, against Arturo Santos. And this should be a showcase for Walters. But I got to be honest, man, I'm not so sure he takes it. I'm not so sure. What do you?
Yeah, after that performance against Lomachenko, you can say what you want, but he just didn't look motivated. He looked disheartened, and you have to question whether or not his head is still in the game.
But you know,
no.
Lomachenko does that to a lot of fighters, though. Lomachenko does that to a lot.
That's the thing. Now, you know, you see guys who lose the way he lost against Lomachenko, and sometimes they can't come back from that.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Lomachenko's last fight he did that to the guy. So
it
was a knockout and everything, or but whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was you could see the writing on the wall. The guy wasn't it's hard to. It's hard to hit somebody and know you're going to get hit back, or to try and hit somebody and the chances of you hitting them are probably, go downhill. You know what I'm saying? You're not hitting them very much. If you throw a punch, you're going to get countered with something and he's going to be out of there. It's got to be disheartening. I mean, really just. Did you see the video of that last Lomachenko fight where he ducked a body shot? The guy threw a body shot at him and he ducked under the body shot. It's like, man, come on.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's Matrix type stuff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for the weekend, man. The Tuesday, August 22nd. Now, August 22nd, Juan Carlos Payano, the one who was just dismantled by Rashid Warren, Cincinnati's own, will face Alexis Santiago on the Tuesday night fights. And then Jamel Herring versus Ladarius Miller, 10 rounds lightweights, and then Jayleon Love also on that card against the dreaded TBA. Ishe Smith on the card versus Paul Valenzuela. Ashley Theophane versus TBA, and that's pretty much it. That's on August 22nd. That'll be the Tuesday night fights.
That's on
next week.
FS1.
Yeah,
that's on FS1.
Yeah, so there it is. So solid week. All right, yeah. Babe, I just saw you put in the chat. Yes, Paulie is our train wreck of the week.
Yeah, they're asking if he is. So obviously, I gotta.
Do we have enough time to get? Do we have enough time to get into the train wreck of the week, Beeb?
Yeah, there's more than enough time. What a light weekend we had, huh?
Because I tell you what, I could talk about
feast or famine this week, huh? Feast or famine with these
boxing
matches this week.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about it, man. Let's go to our news and rumors, and we're gonna start off with our train wreck of the week. Beeb, get it started.
Chugga. Shoot.
All right.
Come on, do it. Go ahead. Hurry up. She wants to do it. She's gonna.
She's coming in. Here we go. Double train.
I thought she was in the tub. Go ahead, do it.
2 train.
Chugga. Choo.
There it is. Love it.
I don't want her to stop. I'm trying.
The double train wreck of the
hey,
week.
this is one that needs a double, man. This is awful.
Yeah, this does need a double.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Rob Gotti's in the chat says, please no McGregor talk till fight week. Sorry to disappoint.
I can't do it.
I can't help it, man. I can't help
this
it.
Shit is we couldn't make some of this shit up. This shit is like
all
so
in,
funny.
Son. We are all in.
It's so funny.
Even
Robert,
Robert confirmed to me right before we went on the air, he's down with the pay-per-view. He's going to pay for it. He's going to pay for the fight.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You don't have to tell everybody, Robert. Don't worry. I'm not going to tell anybody else. We're not going to let anybody else know, buddy.
I ain't buying that motherfucking pay-per-view. I can guarantee you that.
And yet we have another Robert soundbite.
He is going to buy that pay-per-view.
He's totally.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it.
He's totally.
He is going to buy that pay-per-view. He's going to buy that pay-per-view.
Mental case is what he is. That's right. Hey,
he's going to buy that pay-per-view.
You know what? Floyd Mayweather fooled me once. He's not going to fool me twice, man. No way. Buying that motherfucking pay-per-view.
D-Style in the chat said, breaking news, McGregor hired Meldrick Taylor for camp.
It reminds me of Peter McNeely, the guy that fought Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
This guy, they used to go to like local bars and pick out guys like in the on bar stools to fight this guy. That's how bad it was. Same thing with this McGregor sparring partner situation.
Wow.
Yep.
All right, so Paulie Malignaggi has been out there giving interviews to everybody except Santa Claus, telling them that, hey, I didn't get knocked down in sparring. I was blasting McGregor. I was killing him, Meanwhile, we're seeing, pictures coming out of Paulie, his face is all busted up. He's got black eyes, he's busted up and everything like that. So Paulie kept crying. And he says, hey, release the video. We'll see what happened. Well, they did. They released the video this week. They released 2. The UFC and Dana White actually released the video this week. The 2 videos were about 30 seconds long. One of them showed the infamous knockdown. Now, Paulie has been talking all week since he left camp that he wasn't knocked down. It was a push. It was nonsense. McGregor can't hit hard. Let me tell you what. I watched the video, and it was a clear knockdown. I mean, clear. The video was about, 10 seconds, Beeb, from 2 different angles? I was 20 seconds with 2 different angles.
About 10 or 14 seconds.
Yeah. Paulie, it was from 2. The worst part for him was it was from 2 different angles. Okay, so it showed one across the ring and one right in front of you. So it's not like you can say that, it was a bad angle or something. You didn't see it. I mean, it was from 2 different angles. I mean, what do you want? It's not like they got HBO in there and they got like 50 cameras, where you're seeing it from all different, 360 and everything. Paulie took to Twitter afterwards and said that we didn't see what we thought. Paulie took to Twitter and basically said that we didn't watch what we saw was wrong, that it was actually a push. This wasn't a push. It was a punch. I mean, it was pretty clear, man. The second video showed Paulie in the Philly shell getting blasted with a giant left hand. McGregor just blasted this guy with a left hand and then followed it up with a flurry of punches. Paulie was offering up 0 resistance and then got blasted again and fell into the ropes. If the ropes weren't there, he would have been down again. And so Paulie has been on this world tour talking about how bad McGregor is. What does he have to say now? I mean, at least tell us that he's better than what you thought he was. I mean, at least give us that much. I mean, at least say something, man. Beeb, you saw the video. What were your thoughts? Was it a knockdown? I thought it was pretty clear.
Well, this is the thing. When people hear the word knockdown, right, they think that you have to be like hit with a one-hitter quitter type punch. Right. You have to be concussed. That you have to be basically your eyes have to roll in the back of your head, and you have to fall face down like Pacquiao did against Marquez. That's not how all knockdowns are. From what I was told, I was looking at Paulie's Twitter feed, and he was basically saying that they spliced 2 clips together, and that those left hands that McGregor landed had nothing to do with the knockdown, whatever, because it kind of looks like Paulie was hit with a couple shots and he was hurt and off balance and fatigued and tired and what have you. But this is what I came to when I was looking at this. Because you see in fights sometimes, even if your feet gets tangled with another opponent and you're off balance, but someone just grazes you, a lot of times that will be called a knockdown because you were off balance, and in the process of you being off balance and falling down, someone touches you and it's a knockdown. Now, does that mean it's a vicious knockdown? It's a knockdown where you're seriously hurt and you're in danger of being stopped? No, but this is the conclusion I came to. Conor McGregor was landing some good shots. They were taking their toll on Paulie. Paulie was getting tired and fatigued as a result of him being out of shape, number one, and number two, him taking shots and not being able to defend himself properly. So, as a result of that, Conor McGregor did put his forearm on Paulie Malignaggi. Not very hard. It wasn't like he shoved him and grabbed him and really gave him a hard shove. He just basically put his forearm on Paulie Malignaggi's back, kind of maneuvered him off to his right, and then he lands basically a glancing right hook. Glancing. Now, I talked to D-Style, Eric and I in the chat, and this is what I said. I said, maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 referees would call that a knockdown. Maybe some wouldn't. But the thing is this. You have to go by, what you see. And if you see a guy falling off balance, and then, and in the process of him falling off balance, he gets hit with a glancing blow, that technically is a knockdown. So technically, that could be ruled a knockdown. Yeah. Because of that. And he had to, for him to be off balance like that, as you mentioned earlier in our discussion, was just having McGregor just put his forearm on your back. He really wasn't really, forceful with that. He just basically put him on there to kind of nudge him over to the side so he could, in punching range against him. And, for him to be able to, move him around that easily with just a little nudge goes to show you that he was tired. So, I think Paulie was fatigued. He was tired. He was getting hit more than he thought he would. And you know what? This guy is better than what you thought. You were in an interview saying that the cameraman can beat him up. You were in there saying that you could tie one hand behind your back and you could beat him up in your sleep, right? Well, those things didn't happen. Those things didn't happen. And in an interview with Ariel Helwani, you said, "Oh well, the first 5 rounds, he gave me a run for my money. It was good work, and then I took over from 6 to 10, and then in 11 to 12, he came on because I was tired." So basically, if he hung tough in there for 5 rounds, and then you won 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, and then you lost the last 2 rounds, that doesn't equate to you winning 10 out of the 12 rounds, like you said on Twitter yesterday. So the story keeps changing from you, okay? Other sparring partners are seeing you go home after that sparring session and get out of the car and stumble to the house. So let's just say this, man. This guy, you got that work, brother. You got that work. You know what I'm saying? McGregor, and then you have like scars on your face, whatever. And again, facial damage doesn't tell the story always. But let's be clear about it. This guy's hitting you with 16-ounce gloves and marking you up. He's got to have some type of power, And him being able to tag you with ease, that doesn't mean he's a world beater, but it also doesn't mean he sucks either. I mean, you were a 2-time world champion. You were a top-level boxer. Obviously, you're at the tail end of your career. But let's make no mistake about it. That Sam Agenton fight wasn't too long ago. It wasn't too long ago. What was it, like 5 months ago, 6 months ago?
Somewhere.
So you just retired. You just retired. It wasn't like you've been retired for like 2-3 years. I mean, you just retired.
His last fight was last December. Okay.
Okay, so how many months?
Against Sam Egg.
About 6 or 7 months ago. So it wasn't like this guy was off for like 2 years. I mean, he's a recently retired boxer, about 36 years old. I think 35 years old. Not incredibly old. But the thing is this, you know, you're talking about a guy that has never had a professional fight in his life. On paper, you're still supposed to kick the shit out of this guy, and you didn't. So you got to own up to that. And I think if that bothers him more than anything, that, you know what, this guy's never had a pro fight in his life, and I'm a 2-time world champion, and I couldn't go in there and do what I thought I was supposed to do. That bothered him. And there's usually 2 reasons why someone leaves camp when you're a sparring partner. 2 reasons. Number 1, you're asked to leave because you're beating the shit out of the guy you're working with. Or number 2, he's beating the shit out of you. So there's got to be a middle ground here where both guys aren't really catching a beating, but there's good work going on. Didn't look like there was really good work going on because, first of all, you know, you said he kicked the shit out of you in the first session, in the 8-round session, and it looked like he was kind of having his way at you in the second session. So at the end of the day, you really weren't giving him the work that he needed. And, you know, you saying that you went there to give him help. So then why does it bother you so much that, you know, he gave you that work if you're only there to help him anyways? The sparring partner's mentality isn't to go in there and try to beat the guy you're sparring with. You're trying to help the guy. You're trying to give the guy work. So you're not going there to make yourself look good. You're there to make the guy that you're in camp with look good. So for you to complain that you didn't look good, and as a result of that, you want to leave camp, then it is what it is. You know, you complained about all these people interviewing you and all these people, social media, ranking on you and you know, your reputation's at stake. But nothing, you left camp and nothing has changed. Everyone is still, you know, ragging on you. Everyone is still taking shots at you. People are still going to stick a microphone in your face about this. And you're more than willing to give interviews about this. So at the end of the day, by you walking out of the camp, you're basically conceding that he got the better of you, in my opinion, which is what I think happened. So that's just my opinion on the whole thing.
Yeah, I think so too. And Joe Lopez in the chat says, why won't they release the whole footage? Well, for obvious reasons. Number one is that the thing is, I mean,
why would you want to show Mayweather?
Right. I mean, you're going to give away your game plan. I mean, you don't want to
your whole strategy.
Right. You can't. And nobody really does that. I mean, nobody releases the entire footage. I mean, if after the fight they want to release the entire footage, that's on them. But yeah, leading into it, you don't really release. You never see anybody releasing footage. You know, like a bunch of sparring or open sparring. I mean, that's pretty rare anymore. So that's you know, and
I like Paulie. You know, and what's that guy's name there? Brendan Schaub, the MMA guy.
Yeah.
Before the footage was released, he's sitting there saying, "Well, Paulie's the type of guy where I don't think he would lie. He seems like a real honest, straight shooter for me." I mean, he admitted that he got handled in the first sparring session in the 8 rounds. So I mean, at least he gave McGregor that. Yeah. But this is the thing too. This is another thing people make me laugh about, because the first session and the second session, only a week went by, right? So Paulie said, you know, I got off the plane. I was out of shape. I did no training prior. So let me ask you a question. You know you're going into camp with a guy. I'm not saying you got to be in, you know, tip-top pinnacle shape, but you got to be in somewhat shape. So if you really wanted to help the guy and you're going in there like in horrible shape, how much help can you give the guy? And that's disrespectful to him, thinking that you could come in there so out of shape and give him the work. Right. Number one. And number two, oh, well, I went home for a week and I ran and I did this and I did that, and I came back and I was in much better shape, and I was planning on giving him a better performance. How much better could you have improved from 1 week to the next? It's not like you had an 8-week camp to get ready for this guy. So you were out of shape a week ago, and then you went back and I ran and I did this and I did that. Okay, maybe you could have been in a little bit better shape, but not leaps and bounds better than what you were a week ago. So how much better could you have gotten in a week, physical conditioning-wise? And I also alluded to this last week. 29 years old versus 35, 36. This guy is in his physical prime. You are not. So, yeah, you have muscle memory, but your muscle memory is not going to be the same as it was when you were 28, 27, 29, 30. You're not going to get back to that. You cannot reach that capacity in terms of physical conditioning that this guy can reach. So it's not like he was saying, oh, the more we sparred, the better I was going to get, the better condition I was going to get. No, because you can only go so far at your age, your physical conditioning. The body will only allow you in your current state, your current age, to get to a certain point. And when you reach that certain point, you're going to just flatline. Whereas this guy can exceed your level of physical conditioning because he's in his physical prime. There's no way of getting around that. So that was totally misleading what he said, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then Emeka Herring in the chat says, why are we making such a big deal out of a sparring session?
Because it's fun. Because it's fun.
Well, I mean, we're not. I mean,
it's fun.
That's the thing, is that he went out on this world tour saying that he wasn't beat up in sparring and that this and that, it was all nonsense, all the pictures and everything. Yeah. He's the one that, because it's really not a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal that Paulie got beat up in sparring. I think everybody gets beat up in sparring. I think McGregor probably got beat up in sparring. He got beat up by Chris Van Heerden. It's not a huge deal. But the fact that he just keeps, the fact that he just keeps on and on with this and won't admit what happened, I think that's the funny part, and that's the big deal.
Well, can I just say one thing before you transition off here? To me, it's a big deal somewhat, and I'll tell you why. Because the way Paulie talked about this guy, and even my own personal perception, going into this whole event was, I thought this guy McGregor would throw a left hand and trip her over his feet and fall face forward to the canvas. The way the detractors were talking about this fight made McGregor look out to be so horrible that he couldn't even throw a punch without tripping over himself. And even now they're talking about how he hits the bags. Listen, did Prince Nassim look beautiful when he boxed? Was he a textbook boxer? Was Marcos Maidana a textbook boxer? Was Emmanuel Augustus a textbook? There's a lot of guys that don't throw picture-perfect punches and have a picture-perfect prototypical boxing style that can be successful. This guy's awkward. I'm not saying he's going to win, okay? But maybe, just maybe, he's better than we thought. And we know for a fact he's better than what Paulie Malignaggi thought. Because I did anticipate Malignaggi going in there and giving him some solid work. And that just was not the case. So, yeah, that's why I'm making a big deal about it. Because maybe this guy is better than what we thought. Doesn't mean he's going to win the fight. But maybe he may be able to go the distance. Maybe. That's a big maybe. I don't think he has a chance in hell to win the fight. But if he goes 12 rounds and maybe even wins one round, as I said, not to sound redundant, he's doing the same thing that most Mayweather opponents have done in the past. And these were world-class fighters that still accomplished very little against Mayweather. So if he can do what they did, that speaks volumes for him.
That's funny. We had a comment from John316 in the chat. Paulie was more emotional than that caller Jason last week. Wow.
Wow.
That's right.
That's rough. That's rough. I love it. All right. 508, and then we're going to D-Style. D-Style, you're coming up next.
Hey, what's happening, people?
Hey, Georgie.
This day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie, what's up, man? All right, Georgie, so did you see that? You saw the clip? You saw the clip. Was it a knockdown or what?
Man, that's clear as day. Listen, man, I don't understand this, because if we're seeing footage, how many times we seen footage when a man get hit and goes down 2 or 3 seconds afterward, and they say it's a delayed reaction? How many times we seen this on boxing?
Lots. There's different ways to get knocked down in this sport. Yeah, doesn't always mean you're hurt. Could be fatigue. Could be anything. But you're off balance and you're falling down, and all a guy has to do is tap you on the shoulder. That's a knockdown.
Yeah.
It's a freaking knockdown.
How many knockdowns have we seen that were like, not where the guy was a flash knockdown, the guy wasn't hurt? Maybe it could have been ruled a trip. Maybe it could have been ruled a push, but it was a knockdown. I mean, look.
If your feet get tangled and you trip, and on the way down you're falling and you touch the guy, that's a judgment call for the referee. He can say, hey, you know what? It was the trip that knocked you down. But you know, it's a lot of referees will still rule those instances knockdowns. Look at when Pernell Whitaker hit De La Hoya, and De La Hoya basically was off balance. That was like a flash knockdown. That wasn't because De La Hoya was hurt. He was just basically slipped and he was off balance.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you're off balance and you get knocked down, that's still a knockdown.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if you're off balance or not. It's still a knockdown.
Exactly.
Listen, but the point remains, this is the situation. The man was in trouble. If he wouldn't go down there and the action would continue, he wouldn't go down 10 seconds later. He was getting beat. He wasn't fucking in retreat. He wasn't going forward, out of balance. I mean, dude was hurt. You see, I mean, I just don't get this because the dude got all black and blues on his face. And the next thing we see a corner, he don't even got a mark on his face.
Well, Georgie, the big question I have for you, are you going to spend $100 to see this?
Of course he is.
I am.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Rob,
everyone's buying this fight. This fight may do 6 million pay-per-view buys.
Win. We're not saying that this man gonna win, but
right.
Conor is a special. This man is a special, brother. Make no mistake about that. This man is a special breed. You're talking about MMA, you're talking about boxing, two different animals. I understand that. But they warriors. They warriors in both areas. Even though he's coming to this side of the game. I mean, this man cracks skulls. And most of the victories that he got is by knockout, no submissions. So they do got hands. Facing top level tier opposition like worldwide shit. Do got hands. Now, are he gonna be the best defenses of all times? That's a big jump right there. That's why we gotta buy it to see it. Man, you know, I mean, we've seen worse before. We spend money on bullshit that really don't even, you know what I'm saying? So $100 sometimes not too bad, man. You may watch history. You don't want nobody to tell you. And that's another thing. What happens if this man wins?
Wow.
You know how bad it's going to be for boxing, how much people are going to question boxing, how Mayweather opposition going to be questioned.
I never even thought of that. That thought really never even crossed my mind, to be honest with you. It never even crossed my mind. And I mean, I think it's fun to, like, you know, but I tell you what, yeah, I mean,
it will be a big loss.
You think about, all right, well, you think about like the early UFC days. You remember like UFC 1 where, you know, all the people that took karate and Aikido and all the other martial arts, they went in there and they all had different styles. And they all went up against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Gracies. And they all got bent up. Each one of them just got twisted. I mean, like 5 minutes or less. And Gracie was 175 pounds. He ran through everybody and just kind of redefined what you thought fighting was. You know what I mean? And all that stuff that karate and kung fu and everything was kind of rendered useless against their style. What if? You know, I mean, you really got to think about that. Wow, what if Conor comes in here and does that? I mean, that's a leap. And again, that had not crossed my mind that Conor was going to win this fight. But, yeah, wow.
That's another thing. Like, how this man going to win? Like, I don't think he's going to knock him out. I don't think Mayweather going to knock him out. But if he make it too close, it's a bad look too. I don't say he should knock him out to say boxing because it's just a fight between two men, not really a fight between two sports. But man, you got to dominate at least fucking, I don't know, 7 or 8 rounds out of the 12.
You know,
you have to put a clinic. You have to make it impressive. Because if not, then I mean, you're questioning like your competition, what boxing is all about. Because you know me, I know a lot of people don't share my view, but it's a lot of bullshit on boxing, a lot of made-up champions, and a lot of. How could you say a man is the #1 champion in the world when you got like 7 dudes with belts? That's ridiculous. That's a good thing about the UFC. When you say that's the champ of the world, my dude, you're talking about the champ of the world.
That's it. Yep. You know,
ain't no questions about that.
It's funny.
Now, when you're talking about boxing, who's the champion of the world, then you got to make like 4 or 5 niggas.
Right.
No, I mean.
CMD in the chat just brought up a really good point. He said Ricardo Mayorga, He's talking about Ricardo Mayorga and the Vernon Forrest fight and how Vernon Forrest was like an Olympic decorated boxer, pure boxer. And
Vernon
just got
Forrest was
mad.
nice, man. Vernon Forrest was nice.
Right?
He was nice.
Everything. I mean,
I was shocked Mayorga beat him. Shocked.
Right.
Knocked him out.
And beat him twice.
Knocked him out.
Twice.
And beat him twice, yeah.
And Ricardo Mayorga
That's
is a
the
guy
thing
like
right
you
there.
look
He's
at,
twice.
like, come on, man. There's no way this guy should be able to beat these guys.
Fights like a bouncer.
Right.
Fights like a bouncer, man.
Things
I'd
happen.
be those guys at Narcissus back in the day, baby.
But Vernon Forrest was like the killer because he just came out of fucking beating Mosley like twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He was on top of the world at that time. I remember that. He was like the man on boxing because he beat Shane Mosley. They're like, oh, you didn't beat Shane Mosley. Everybody was like, and then like you said, Mayorga came along and put work on him because Styles make fights too, you know?
Yeah, because look at Corey Spinks.
So
Corey
I gotta
Spinks
count him.
completely
Mayweather goes there
dominated
and
him.
see something that he had never seen. That's another thing. Like, I always seen that on boxing, we got this notion that you cannot outbox a boxer. Like they say, don't hook with a hooker and jab with the jabber. There's a lot of saying like that on boxing. But I always thought if somebody goes there and just try to hit Mayweather, just hit him once with a jab and run. Just get on your bicycle and press him forward. That's what I remember before me and Ken lost. A lot of people used to say that. Me and Ken got a good chance of beating Money Man. Because he can touch him and just get the fuck out. Touching and move. Do what he do to people. You know what I'm saying? Because you see Mayweather, most of his shit not going forward. It's that counter punch, roll the shoulder, try to lean back a little bit, hit you with the right hand shit. And I don't know. I think he got the right game plan. He can make it close. And let's see. We're going to see. I'm going to spend $100 just to see what happens. Pretty much that's my goal. Only got to shut the fuck up. Like Beeb say, why'd you leave the camp?
Well, who do you got in the Crawford fight, Georgie? Who do you got?
You talking all days like you were fighting with your hand behind your back and the weights on your feet and this and that, and they put work on you. You know they got it on film. Where you gonna go?
I think he ate his words. Yeah.
Get yours back. If you really think you can beat him,
right?
Like, and you like, you know what? I can't really compete with this man. I gotta get the fuck out.
Yep.
That's how I did.
Yeah.
The way they were talking about this guy McGregor.
Support. Thank you for guys listening to me, and thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, see you, Georgie.
Thank you, sir.
The way they were talking about this guy McGregor, man, I thought he was going to trip walking up to the ring steps, man.
I thought so too. Man.
And break his ankles. That's how bad they were saying he was.
I didn't think he'd have a chance against Paulie, and even though Paulie's not where he was, I thought Paulie was going to walk right through him. And I mean,
he just retired. It wasn't like like I said. Well, yeah, it's not like
Paulie
he's been
admitted
out
as much that he lost the fight. Yeah, I mean, he admitted as much. He said he got me in the first 5 rounds. I settled in from 6 through 10, and I gassed out in 11 and 12. You lost the fight then. If you're counting up rounds, you lost the fight. So
it's definitely not 10-2.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. All right. Let's go to 915. This is D Style. D Style. You're on live.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
What's
happening, man?
What's happening?
We're still counting Paulie?
What's that?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we still talking about Paulie.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool.
So you watched the video.
I just want to give everybody caution here, and this isn't even including myself, okay? But caution, right? First of all, let's not do this whole thing where we're judging an entire 12 rounds off of 30 seconds. We can't do that, right?
Can't do that, no.
Of course, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. I get that, and I assume Conor got the best of him, but I don't know that. And the reason I'm saying that is because when the first Van Heerden footage came out, articles everywhere saying, he was schooling a pro boxer, this, that, and third. Now, Van Heerden was smart enough to film it himself. So then he released a full unedited version, and all of a sudden it looked like a much different fight. So I'm just putting caution out there. Now, the difference between Van Heerden and Paulie is Van Heerden is actually an active boxer. He's actually in shape. So there's differences there. Paulie he was packing a love handle there. I don't know, you guys, this dude was pudgy and out of shape. I don't know what Paulie was thinking. And he did get lit up with that left hand, but I'm going to be 100% honest. The more I saw those, all I have is 30 seconds. Outside of that left hand that snapped Paulie's head back, outside of that, everything to me honestly looked like trash. I'm just being 100% honest. Those slaps on the inside aren't going to do anything to Floyd. And the knockdown, I'll agree that at that point, honestly, it would be a judgment call by a ref. But if you, and Paulie was definitely exaggerating that he was pushed down and all that. His version of the story was off. But the Conor camp was off as well. According to one of Conor's sparring partners or trainer, I forgot which one it was, they said that Paulie got hit by a 4-piece and they got knocked down. Well, we know that's not true. We just saw the footage. So I think everybody's seeing what they want to see for the most part. And something very telling to me. You know, I was listening, because me, I believe in the saying, and the saying is telling on yourself. And one of the trainers of Conor said, you know, I'm glad Paulie came here because I had some doubts. I was confident in Conor, but I had some doubts about this transition. We had never seen him in there with an elite boxer. But now that Paulie came in, I'm more confident in what Conor could do.
Yeah, that was Kavanaugh. Yeah, that was John Kavanaugh.
That's false confidence.
You think so?
What's that?
You think so?
Well, it is. Paulie's he's not an elite boxer anymore.
Well, not anymore.
So you're telling me right now.
But
what's that?
He does carry, all right, but he does carry, you know, because they've got an amateur in camp and they've got, I think they've got like 2 other guys in camp or whatever. Now, Paulie is he's not an elite level boxer anymore. But shouldn't Paulie, I mean, by all accounts, come in here and shouldn't he been able to wipe Conor up?
Well, it depends. I mean, at what point, look, let me put it this way, right? I understand what you guys are saying. Okay, obviously, Paulie, I agree that Paulie was wrong on his perception of how good Conor was. But Conor is a mixed martial artist. But here's the reality. Conor was boxing to the age of 6 until he was like 16, so he took up MMA. So it's not like he's a stranger to boxing. Now, that's number 1. Number 2, he's a great athlete. Number 3, he is a mixed martial artist. But what he is best at, and this is his own team saying this, even Conor says this, his best discipline is boxing. Out of everything, like his whole game plan is always to keep the fight standing, to light dudes up with that left hand. The dude's a boxer that happens to be, taking up the art of mixed martial arts. So out of all those disciplines, what he's best at is boxing. So he's not just your ordinary, like I'm not one of those dudes that just saying, oh, look at the MMA. These guys are just plotters. And most of them are, but Conor's not your ordinary dude coming in and all that, right? So you're not going to beat a guy like that if you're out of shape. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's obviously Paulie was ignorant in the fact that he came out of shape, but now, if you ask me, if Paulie had a full training camp and Conor had a full training camp and then they fight on fight night, who wins? Well, I know Paulie's going to be in shape, so at this point, I don't know. Right?
Right?
But I know it's not going to look anything like we saw in those 30 seconds. I mean, it was just 30 seconds, guys. Like, I'm all for clowning Paulie. He's talking too much. He signed a no-disclose form. He brought a lot of this onto himself. When he was asking for the footage to be released, I was one of the people that said, hey, Paulie, they're gonna, whatever they release, it's gonna make Conor look good, not you. They're not gonna release footage of if you got the best of Conor in a round. They're not gonna release that.
Right.
They're gonna release the moments where he looked good. So he asked this, on himself. But I will say this: in any sport, this goes for anything. And to me, the sparring partners are very telling here. You have an amateur that's never had a pro fight. These other dudes are journeymen. Paulie was an out-of-shape boxer. They just try to get Stevie Forbes to go spar with them. All right? I don't really believe they think they're going to win. I just don't. I think they're trying to, just like they're relishing in these moments in the sparring, they're looking for something to relish off of this fight. So what I mean by that is if he lands a big shot, if he wins a round, if he goes the distance, what they're looking for is the following. All you have to do is listen to the language, the way they talk. Well, if this was a real fight, Mayweather wouldn't last a minute, right? That's what they always say that. It never fails. But if he goes the distance, hell, even if let's say he goes 4 rounds, then they're going to say, well, I lasted longer than Mayweather would have in my world, right? That's all this is. Okay, that's all they're doing here. right? If he goes a distance, okay, you think they're going to be celebrating. Okay, Dana White, I'm talking about like his camp and the Dana White and all them. They're going to be celebrating it. They're going to act like it was the biggest victory in history. You know, like Rocky won, when Rocky won the distance against Creed. That's what this is. This is Rocky Part 1, right? He's fighting the southpaw with big power and a lot of unknowns, Italian stallion. This is, Conor McGregor. And can he pull the upset? Can he land the big shot? And can he go the distance? That's what this is, And my thing is, I don't think this fight's going to be close. I'm honestly not sweating it, okay? And I honestly believe it's going to be one-sided. I believe that. And that's it.
Do you think,
I know it's a lot, but there you go.
Do you think he goes the distance?
I don't know. Not unless he might go the distance if sometimes fighters in the ring have a little bit of a sizing agreement. And I'm not a big fan of Teddy Atlas, but he's right about this.
Yeah.
And one dude's getting his ass whooped, okay? And then he realizes, well, this guy, he stops hitting me as much if I stop pressing the action, So I might just keep it at this pace. And then Mayweather feels comfortable at a certain pace, at a certain gear. And that fight, yes, you can go the distance. Now, most people aren't going to understand that, but do I believe it's going to go? No, I don't think it's going to go the distance at all. Another thing, and I want to thank Conor McGregor's trainer for this. I really do. I got to give him props for saying this. And I've been saying this for years. A lot of boxing fans get this twisted as well, okay? A boxing glove, and I'm not talking about how much you can cover up and stuff like that, but on the knuckle, at the point of impact, when you land a clean punch, an 8-ounce glove is virtually no different to the 4-ounce MMA glove. More people need to know that, and if you don't know that, you don't have to take my word for it. You could put on the gloves yourselves and feel it. And if you're talking about a horsehair glove, that's even less padding. On the point of the knuckle, right? Now, his trainer confirmed that for me. He said he was pleasantly surprised that they felt an 8-ounce glove, and he's like, it's virtually no difference to the on the point of contact. There's virtually no difference. So, and the only reason I'm bringing that up is to put to rest this horse shit from guys, on mainstream media like the Skate Baylesses, who for whatever reason want to denigrate our sport and say that boxers fight with pillows in their hand, right? The boxing glove is designed, okay, for a boxer to throw multiple punches for a period of 12 rounds and to protect his hand and prevent him from breaking his hand. A boxing glove is not designed to protect your opponent's face or body. I'm just saying.
I think it's funny that anybody would equate those to pillows, because if you've ever been hit, you're not getting hit with a pillow. I mean, I don't care what glove.
There's not much difference from getting hit with a glove on and a bare fist. There's really not that much in terms of the blood force.
If I tie you up on a chair, right? Yeah. Maybe I'm coming up with an example because I'm watching Narcos right now on Netflix. But if I tied you to a chair and I wanted to punish you by punching you in the face, right? I'm going to put on a boxing glove because I could punch you 1,000 times and I'm going to break my hand. I could punch a brick wall with a boxing glove, and it's less likely I break my hand than if I do with my bare fist. So you could punch a lot harder with a boxing glove than with a bare fist.
Exactly. And the only reason why the MMA glove is designed the way it is because they can grab with their hands.
So they can still grab. Yeah.
Only thing.
Yeah, they got padding on the knuckles and then they're open so you can grab.
And then you got these idiots saying that Floyd.
The padding on the knuckles is pretty substantial. Those are 4 ounces, but about 90% of those 4 ounces are all on the knuckle, where in a boxing glove, it's all over the hand, even on the thumb, the fingers, all the way to the wrist. So it's evenly distributed. And on some gloves, it's even less padding. I mean, have you ever seen a Gennady Golovkin glove? There's practically no padding on the freaking knuckle. Even Mayweather's gloves. I know a lot of people clown Mayweather because he has and I do too, because he's got brittle hands. We got to keep it real. And that's another reason, by the way, it could go the distance. If Mayweather breaks his hand, it's just going the distance. You can't knock a dude out with a broken hand. That's hard, But what do they call those gloves? The orthopedic gloves. I find that name hilarious. I don't know why. I'm sorry. But,
it used to be winning. Yeah, it used to be winning. But who is it? Grant's the one that makes gloves.
Grant makes them.
He makes the orthopedic glove. Yeah, they call them the orthopedic gloves. But prior to that, he used to use the winning gloves. Yeah.
It's just, it sounds like a handicap glove. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know, but
it sure does.
Versus glove, like,
It sure does.
But even those gloves, it's not a lot of padding. Like, it's more than your traditional boxing glove or a puncher's glove, especially. But it's still not that much of a difference. The difference is, of course, is that defense-wise, you're able, because of the way it's designed, you could cover your face more, so it's harder to hit somebody. But again, with a boxing glove, it's designed so if you hit somebody in the body and they block you with their elbow, you don't break your hand.
Right.
I mean, you can. We know fighters break their hands, but it's designed to protect your hand. So it's a brutal sport, and it has really nothing to do with the fight. This sport's a passion of mine. I love the sport, and I respect the athletes in the sport. It's statistically one of the most dangerous sports in the world. When they wanted to legalize MMA, all they did was talk about, well, boxing's legal, it's far more dangerous, and this, that, and the third. And then once MMA is legal, all of a sudden, boxing is safe, and it's pity pat, it's playing tag, and that's just not true.
No,
it's just not true.
Why? Let me ask you. Why does everybody hate this fight? Why? I mean, if we just take, you take the 50-0 out of it, and you take, because I don't think that matters. I mean, if he gets 50-0, nobody's counting that as breaking Marciano's record. I mean, they're just not. Nobody's counting that.
Right.
And aside from that, to me, it's a fun fight. It's a fun fight because you don't know what's going to happen. You really don't. Everybody has an idea and the odds and everything like that. You kind of think you know what's going to happen, but you really, at the end of the day, you don't know. Why is everybody from boxing just hating this fight?
I think this is what I think. You know how, like I said earlier, Conor McGregor is a mixed martial artist where his best discipline is boxing. They'll tell you that. That's how he beats guys. He beats guys with boxing.
Stand up, yeah.
He does throw kicks and stuff. So he's a mixed martial artist, but that's what he does, and that's what he did for a large portion of his life, from 6 years old, like till he was like 16. That's a long time to box. That's more experience that most people listening to this have. Boxing. But I think they're just assuming. Because look, if I just randomly watch a MMA fight, of course I'll see like dudes that can't box or shit. Like, I'm just keeping it real, But Conor McGregor is not one of those guys. He's not. This is not like, it's like, for example, can Conor go? He's a mixed martial artist, but can he go and beat some black belts in Brazilian jiu-jitsu in a jiu-jitsu match? No. But Damian Maia can. He was a champion at that. That's what he does. Look, so everyone in mixed martial arts has something that they're best at. Conor McGregor is best at boxing, and I don't think most people know that. Like, they just see all MMA fighters like being the same. And that's just not the case. This is someone who's standing out from the pack. He does have boxing. Look, it sounds like I'm promoting the fight now. I think it's a one-sided fight, but it's not, because it's perfectly possible, okay, to respect Conor's boxing skills, but at the same time, say he doesn't have a shot to beat him. You could do both things. Like, it's not like either it's one way or the other. No. You could respect somebody's boxing skills and say, well, he doesn't stand a shot against Floyd. Because there's levels to this. There's levels to boxing. And I think Floyd is I know he's 40, I know he's old, but he's at a whole nother level, a whole nother IQ that I don't think Conor even, he just doesn't have the experience, the time in boxing to understand that. The best boxer he has ever sparred in, according to his own trainer, is an old, washed-up Paulie Malignaggi. That's the best sparring partner he has ever had in boxing. That is very telling to me. And that's not going to get him ready for Mayweather. Okay, now, why do people hate this fight? Because people just want a reason to hate, man. Like, I hated it at first. I would rather see Mayweather fight a Keith Thurman and Errol Spence as a boxing fan, but the fight's done, the fight's made, the public's interested in it. And at the end of the day, me, I believe so much in this sport that I don't sweat this fight. Yeah. I know Mayweather's going to win. Like, I'm not worried about it. I think a lot of boxing fans, they're a little scared. Like, I hate to say it, but they're a little scared, they're a little worried. They're putting their heads in the sand. and just waiting for this event to end already. Like, hopefully Mayweather doesn't lose and make it look bad and this, that, and the third. I mean, if Mayweather loses, the sport's going to move on. Nothing's going to happen to the sport. Okay, it'll be okay.
Right.
But I still think Mayweather's going to win. I think he's going to dominate, and you know, it's just, you know, it's an interesting fight. And regardless of how hardcore boxing fans feel and boxing pundits feel and how we feel the fight's going to play out, the reality is that a large portion of the public out there believes McGregor could beat Mayweather, and they're very confident about it. Look at those crowds that showed up to the press conferences. You know, look at the forums, look at the polls. Okay, look at the betting line. The betting lines don't lie. They're getting, by fight night, it's probably going to be 3-1, which would have been unheard of. And I think when so many people believe one guy could win, you got to make that fight happen. You know, even though I believe they're wrong, you got to make it happen. You know, because what good is saying, well, I would have beat him anyway? No, let's get it. Because if the fight never happened, those people would have spent the rest of their lives believing that Conor McGregor could beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'm a guy that when someone has a hypothesis, I'm a scientific dude, man. I'm a science guy. I'm not a religious guy. Okay, I'm all for it. I don't mind the scientific experiment. Let's make the experiment and let's put them in the ring. Let's make it. I don't want to talk belief. I don't want to talk about any of that nonsense. Let's get them in the ring. I don't think science and religion mix, and I don't think it mixes in combat sports. I don't want to believe somebody would win. If a large portion of the population has a hypothesis that this dude can light up Mayweather, then by all means, let's get the experiment rolling.
I agree. D-Style, tell us where we can find you on YouTube.
D-Style Boxing.
All right. You got a website or anything?
No website.
Okay.
Just D-Style Boxing on YouTube.
Absolutely, man. Good deal, man. Well, you got to call in soon, man. Call in again, man, for sure.
I'll call in next week for sure, because that's basically going to be, I think,
that's the preview
last show before the fight.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. All right, man. Well, we will catch up to you next week, man. Thank you so much for calling in.
All right, man. Peace.
Good deal. Yeah, remember, go to YouTube, D-Style Boxing on YouTube. He's always got good videos up there, man. So, Beeb, you know D-Style well. He made some pretty good points, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just, expand on one thing he said about boxing fans, why are they upset, and the way he answered the question. My answer to that, I believe, is, I think most people think that Floyd's going to win. I think what they're afraid of is that he's going to win in a similar fashion that he beat Pacquiao. And if that happens, then again, we've said it, that's a win for Conor.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he couldn't knock this guy out. I think the big fear factor is, can Floyd really kick this guy's ass, or is he just going to beat him? That's the big thing.
Right.
And
difference.
Right now, I'm second guessing myself. I know he's going to win. The big intrigue factor for me, and I've said this all along, is not if he can win or not. It's if he can win by decision or win by knockout. I just want to see if this guy can go 12 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. Because if he does do that, that is a win. That is a win.
I agree with that. Robbie, let me ask you, because you're pretty against this fight. Why do you hate this fight?
Number one, Floyd did this once before. 2 years ago, he charged everybody $100 for Manny Pacquiao. And we all thought we were going to get the fight of the century. And what we wound up getting was a total mismatch. People can say Pacquiao was hurt, and in my opinion is, if you were that hurt, you shouldn't have gone through with the fight. I don't think the boxing public, those of us that really know about the sport, really truly want to experience the ordeal of paying $100 and having the same kind of fight take place, where Mayweather thoroughly dominates the guy doesn't put up much resistance, and he basically dances around for 36 minutes. I don't think Floyd will knock out Conor McGregor because Floyd doesn't knock out anybody. He hasn't knocked out anybody since Ricky Hatton. Now, yeah, he knocked out Victor Ortiz, but
yeah, I don't even count
you can
that
even
one.
question how that knockout took place. I really do not think Floyd will knock out McGregor. I think it goes the distance because that's what Floyd does. And if I'm going to pay $100 for a fight, I want to see a competitive fight. I want to see a back and forth fight. And I don't think you can ask somebody who has never been in a boxing ring and has never been a professional fighter fight a guy like Floyd Mayweather and make it competitive. I'm not going to pay for a mismatch. I refuse. I'm not going to buy the fight.
But didn't we know going into Mayweather Pacquiao was going to be a mismatch? I mean, really? I mean, didn't we know that though? Everybody's stock
really.
pick. Everybody's stock pick going in that was 8 rounds to 4 for Mayweather. Everybody's.
Yeah.
Everybody called it 8 rounds to 4 for Mayweather. You know.
I thought it was going to be 7 rounds to 5. Maybe 8 rounds to 4. But I expected Pacquiao to be more competitive than what he was.
What about Mayweather? Mayweather wasn't real competitive either.
I'm not going to get burned again twice. I refuse.
I see it. All right, I see the logic. Beeb, you're all in though, right?
I got both feet in the pot, man.
It's hard for me to say that because I'm a guy that will normally support any pay-per-view, but I can't do it with this one.
Do you think, hey Beeb, do you think this is a better fight than Kamagai and Cotto?
On paper, probably not. I think Kamagai. Well, it's hard.
Which one would you rather watch? Mayweather,
McGregor. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I have no desire to watch Miguel Cotto fight. None. I mean, 0 to watch Miguel Cotto fight. I just don't. He shouldn't be fighting anyway. He really shouldn't. So I tell you what, yeah.
This could be the right opponent for Cotto because Kamagai is very, very porous defensively.
Yeah.
And this could turn out to be very one-sided. It could be a Cotto beatdown.
Right. Yeah. So staying on topic here, McGregor had his media tour this week and just said he was asked about Paulie's comments and everything like that. He just said McGregor just said he said it shows Paulie's character. He said after the sparring session, the other sparring partners were concerned that he had a concussion. He was acting erratic and slurring his words. Conor had an open workout this weekend where he showed off some very unconventional things. And to be fair, this is what he does before each fight. I've seen him train before, so he does this before each fight. The movement training before you saw like him flailing his arms in the ring. He's done this for years. I don't know if it works, but clearly it works for him. A lot of people are laughing at his training in the boxing world, but if you think back, McGregor got a lot of static too for the way he hits the mitts. The rapid fire hitting. Beeb, you remember that when
Mayweather
hit the mitts and everybody used to make fun of him for he's like you're just tapping the mitts. What good is that going to do you in a fight?
The thing is this. You can look at anyone's training camp, and you can sit there and say, well, is this really going to be applicable in a fight? Look what Freddie Roach holds the mitts like this for Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao just goes.
Yeah.
Like, are you ever going to be able to just sit there in one spot and just go in a fight? You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of it's just conditioning. It's just, getting your hands moving, getting your wind up. It's like all these things aren't really, sports specific, so to speak. So, I think people try to overanalyze things and dig too deep into things. And it is what it is. I mean, again, when you're hitting a heavy bag, it's not the same as hitting pads. It's not the same as shadow boxing. It's not the same as, sparring, because the bag is not shaped like a person. It's round.
Right.
So when you throw a hook on a bag, it's going to look differently than when you throw a hook on a pad. So, it is what it is. Be like, oh, he's not turning his hook over. It's like, oh, all right, whatever. It's hard to throw a picture-perfect hook on a heavy bag.
Yeah.
Just
You know, I tell you what, I actually sympathize with Paulie a little bit here. He was clearly touched up in sparring, whether he won or lost sparring. I mean, it's sparring. You know, there really is. You're not really going to win or lose. You're just helping the other guy get better. You know, I think his feelings were hurt with the release of the video and the photos. I think he thought he was going to walk right through McGregor, and quite honestly, had a rough go of it. I think he was embarrassed and he left. And that's hard. That's hard for someone to deal with, man. It's hard for a two-time world champion to deal with.
One question, though, guys.
Sure.
Does this affect how Paulie will actually call the fight at ringside?
I think it's a conflict of interest.
I think so too.
Because he thinks he was embarrassed, you know, by McGregor.
Well, not only that, I mean, he's been saying some really awful stuff about McGregor, saying that, you know, he quit and he quit in his fights. He quits in his fights. He does this and he doesn't want to fight this guy. He doesn't, you know, he's been saying some really disparaging things about McGregor. McGregor hasn't said anything disparaging about Paulie. McGregor's camp in the UFC has not said anything disparaging about Paulie. You know, I think it absolutely affects the way he calls the fight. And I don't know that he really should be calling this fight. You know, especially like in an analyst role or whatever.
That would be my next question. They should take him off the broadcast and put somebody else in his place.
Yeah, I don't know about taking. I mean, I wouldn't be so harsh as to say take him off the broadcast, but clearly replace him as the analyst. I mean, maybe you can put him backstage doing some interviews or something like that, or something. I mean, you know, along those lines, or put him at the top, you know, where nobody hears him. But yeah, man, I think that it would be hard. It would be hard for him to be real, you know, unbiased there and just, you know, give an actual opinion on the fight.
Beeb, if you were Steven Espinoza, what would you do here?
I would definitely have a conversation with Paulie, and I would tell him to shut the fuck up, or I'm going to pull you.
Yeah, I don't know why that hasn't been done, you know, because like I said, I mean, he's trying to hurt the promotion by saying that, you know, this and that about McGregor and everything like that. I mean, it's just like, dude, you know.
Why isn't Joe Cortez doing interviews? Why, you know?
Well, according to Paulie, he has a gag order put on him, you know.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what's so funny, too? I was watching the video today, and it was ES News video. Shout out to Ellie Setback. And they had referee Kenny Bayless and Tony Weeks. And they were asking them questions, you know, and a lot of questions they replied to no comment. So, Paulie, you know, you complained about everyone wanting to know this, wanting to know that, and shoving mics in your face and this and that.
Yep.
There's a phrase called no comment that is exercised quite a bit when people don't want to reveal things. You had that option. You didn't use it.
That's it.
Unprofessional.
Yeah, I think so, too. Everybody is talking about how much this fight, as far as ticket sales and everything like that, it's tanking. There's over 5,000 tickets left and this and that. We just got word from Leonard Ellerby this week that it's already a $60 million gate for Mayweather-McGregor. Everyone has been throwing around how many tickets are left. This fight is, you know, a bust. Mayweather Promotion CEO Leonard Ellerby said Thursday that the Mayweather-McGregor fight was on pace to break the boxing gate record, despite characterizations suggesting otherwise. Right now, this is Ellerby. Right now, we have over 60 million in the box office. And you tell me, what part of that remotely looks like ticket sales are slow? This isn't a Rolling Stones concert. That's the only thing that sells out in seconds. When you're talking about tickets going from 500 to 10,000, that's an expensive ticket. So you have every CEO from every major company. You know, guys, it takes time to plan and get it together. Ellerby said more than $60 million worth of tickets have been sold, is more than double of the Canelo Alvarez-Gennady Golovkin fight on September 16th, and it's at the same venue. The previous record is 72.2 million brought in by Maypac on May 2015. So Mayweather Pacquiao, $72.2 million gate in that one. This is already at 60 million with 2 weeks left. And completely, I mean, this is it's already sold more than double of the Triple G Alvarez fight. Yeah, I mean, clearly this is going to demolish the Triple G Alvarez fight in terms of ticket, in terms of gate, you know, for sure. So, Beeb, Robert, what are your actually? Let me go to Robert here. What are your thoughts on this? That the gate is already 60 million. I know as well as you know, everybody has been dumping all over the sales of this fight, but I mean, 60 million. That's not exactly pizza
No,
money.
look, Eric. Here's a few facts that we know are going to happen on August 26th. We know that Mayweather will win handily. We know that the gate record will be broken, and we also know that at least 5 million people will buy this fight. Those things we know. I mean, if you want to look at it realistically, there's no way that Canelo and Golovkin can compete with that, because you're going to have the people such as you and Beeb who are curious about how this turns out. You're going to have all the UFC people who are already Conor McGregor fans. They're going to buy this. And remember, this fight is also going to be shown, or this card is going to be shown in movie theaters. So people are going to be able to go do that. No, I mean, financially, no, there's no other fight on the planet that could even compete with this. We already know that all the major records, pay-per-view, gate, whatnot, they're all going to be broken. I mean, there will probably never be another fight that comes down the pipe that even comes close to shattering these records. So, I mean, it's a given. Canelo and Oscar and Tom Loeffler and Golovkin and everybody involved with that promotion cannot compete with this, because there's so many other forces that are interested in this fight. So, I mean, that's a given.
Yeah, and Beeb, you said too that they're going to show this. They're showing us at the theater near you or whatever. The show.
Yeah, Showcase Cinemas. They're going to be selling the fight for $40 a head.
Wow, that's
stadium seating. Robert just alluded to that too. Yeah, this is the thing, and I said this before. People, and I used to get arguments with other people, who commentate on boxing about this. Oh, why can't they put fights like this in a stadium and they can sell the tickets for a much cheaper price and have a lot larger audience and people, everyone can buy the ticket. And this is the thing, like you throw this in a stadium with 80,000 people and you have ticket prices ranging from $20 to like $300. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You could when you go to Vegas, you get a site fee. All right, and then you get all the high rollers there, and you can charge astronomical amounts for tickets, and people will buy them. So people complained about the ticket prices for this event. That's and as well they should have. They were crazy prices.
Crazy.
We already know that, right? But at the end of the day, these are the type of events that high rollers go to, and people like you and I, we watch it on pay-per-view. Big, am I gonna cry because I'm not there live? You know what I'm saying? It's like this has always happened this way. So if you're a promoter, it's a no-brainer. You're going to put it in Vegas because you're still going to eclipse revenue that you would have in a stadium because the tickets are going to be cheap. They're going to be cheap. And those Canelo tickets aren't so cheap either. I think the highest ticket there is about $800. I mean, obviously that's nowhere near these 10,000, but it's not like the average person's not going to spend $800 on a to see a fight there either. And then if you buy the affordable tickets, you're going to be in the nosebleeds, and you're not going to be able to see everything. So I'd rather watch it on pay-per-view and get a better view and get instant replay and all that stuff.
But Beeb, Oscar and everybody in boxing could do the same thing that they're going to do with the Mayweather-McGregor fight. They could start showing the boxing pay-per-views in theaters, but yet this is the only fight in recent history that is going to be shown in a theater. I don't think the Golovkin Canelo fight is going to be shown in theaters. I haven't heard anything.
Well, Maypac was shown. Yeah, Maypac was shown in theaters. And here's another point too. Oh, people are actually writing articles and making videos with the headline Mayweather McGregor in trouble, struggling. Yeah. If you overprice the tickets, then you're still going to make an astronomical amount of money, even if you don't sell out. You're still going to do better than the average boxing event because less people have to buy the fight, and because the ticket prices are so high. It's like you overprice the tickets, you sell less, but you're still going to make money because imagine if 100 people buy those $10,000 seats. I mean, that's you know what I mean? 500 people, 1,000 people buy those $10,000 seats. You know, I mean, that's a lot of money. Still a lot of money. You got 17. What's that hold? 17,000 people where they're going to be at?
Yeah,
about 17,000 people, right? You know, so for anyone to suggest this is not going to be a blockbuster, it's not going to be a financial windfall, it's just ridiculous. It's disingenuous, and you don't have to like the fight, but to go out and try to make other people and convince other people not to buy it and not be interested in it, then you just really have to be a salty, negative, hater type person. You know why? Like, and you know the funny thing too is, lastly, I'm going to end it on this. People say they're not interested in it, right? And they don't care about it, right? Like me, I don't follow cricket. I don't follow ballet.
Right.
But do I go on an open campaign and tell everyone, hey, don't buy ballet. I don't like it. It sucks. Oh, I don't like cricket. Don't buy it. It sucks. You know, and then you have people saying, well, I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to watch it like on a stream. So you're still interested in it. It's still intriguing you to some degree if you're talking about it and you're saying you're not going to pay for it, but you're going to go to a bar and watch it. I'm not going to go to a bar and watch friggin' a cricket match. I'm not going to go to a bar and watch a bowling tournament on ESPN because those things don't interest me. But that doesn't mean I have to go out and tell other people don't watch those things. So for people to say that the fight sucks and they're not interested in one bit, and they're sitting there talking about it, you're interested in it. You're just not happy about it. That's all.
Yep, that's it. That's it. And you know what? Listen, man, I don't blame you for not wanting to pay $100. I don't want to pay $100 for it, you know. But you know, they charge what they charge. I listen, man. I don't want to pay $70 or $80 for the Triple G fight a month later, you know. And I'm not going to plug it down. I'm not going to be happy about it, you know. But it's like, you know, I don't want to pay these, you know, crazy prices to watch a fight, you know. But it is. I mean, it's just the way it is. So if you want to watch a fight, you know, you're going to have to pay for it. So, you know, there you go. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not a big cricket fan or ballet fan, but I'm not like, you know, dumping all over it either and telling you not to go.
I don't watch ping pong tournaments, but I'm not an open campaign. Hey, let's not televise any ping pong tournaments. Right. I'm not calling up ESPN and saying that.
Right. You know,
so,
or
who cares?
Sometimes people feel the same way about soccer. I don't want to watch soccer. All right, then don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Oh. I'm not one of those people who say, oh, I hate soccer. It's boring. It sucks. No, because when the World Cup comes around, all these people who don't watch the sport all of a sudden become soccer fans or football fans, if you will. But you know what I'm saying? So, you know, just because something is not your cup of tea, why would you have to go out and know? You know, it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious that Oscar De La Hoya is threatened by this event. And it's also quite obvious that this event is going to hurt their ticket sales.
Oh,
or it's going to hurt, maybe not their ticket sales, but it's going to hurt their pay-per-view buys.
100%.
Because it's so close, people aren't going to buy both.
$200. You know,
they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it, and that bothers him. That threatens him. That aggravates him.
Yeah, you're looking at $200, just about $200. How much, Robert? How much is the Triple G fight?
If I had to guess, Eric, I would say for HD, because that's what you and I have,
right.
Probably about $75.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at what? Right around $175, $200, you know, just rounded up to $200, you know? So it's like, you know, yeah, I mean, especially, let me tell you what, especially if this Mayweather fight is a dud, like, you know, hey, we think it might be, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen, man. Everybody thought Pacquiao and it was going to be a great fight, and it turned out to be a dud. I'll tell you what, man, if this fight turns out to be a dud, that you tell me what, those ticket sales for Triple G or the pay-per-view for Triple G and Canelo are going to go down the window.
Well, here's another one.
No, Eric, that's another thing that you can count on. I think this fight will be a complete mismatch, will be a dud. People will be very unhappy that they spent the money. And 3 weeks later, they're not going to want to do it again for Triple G and Canelo. That's why, as a boxing consumer, I had to make a choice. I'm choosing not to buy Mayweather McGregor because I am going to buy Canelo Triple G.
Well, here's another thing. Let's look at this now. When you have two top-level fighters fighting each other, You have all this buildup and this pre-fight hype, and this guy's going to do this guy's going to do that. How many times on fight night, because these guys have so much respect for each other, does the fight turn out to be a tactical chess match, and it's not this war or this brawl that it's advertised at? Look at Triple G against Danny Jacobs. Look how tactical that fight was, and how nip and tuck that fight was, and how laid back Golovkin was in that fight. He didn't go in there and try to walk Danny Jacobs down or walk right through Danny Jacobs. He didn't maul Danny Jacobs. So Canelo was a guy. Canelo was a guy. Let me finish the point real quick.
Fight.
Well, but it wasn't a blockbuster event. Like, it wasn't like a fight of the year type fight, was it? It's not a fight that you're going to look back on and say, "Hey, I'm going to watch that again."
I didn't. And I didn't expect it to be, by the way. I expected.
But that happens. That happens in a lot of fights when you have two guys who are fighting against the best opponent that they've ever faced. They show respect to each other, and they fight a lot more tactical and, dare I say, cautiously. Okay, when De La Hoya fought Floyd Mayweather, that turned out to be a tactical fight. And De La Hoya, all of a sudden, the second half of the fight, stopped throwing the jab for whatever reason. I think is because he didn't want to get countered with the right hand. That fight was not a blockbuster. De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad. That fight was not a blockbuster. De La Hoya versus Bernard Hopkins pay-per-view. That fight was not a blockbuster. That turned out to be a tough technical fight until Hopkins landed that the left hook to the body and stopped him. So, so many times you have the build-ups, but how many times do these super fights really play out to be super fights? Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. That fight was a very tactical fight. Wasn't a overly exciting fight. So this is the thing, man. I mean, it's not a given that this Triple G Canelo fight is going to be this all action-packed war that De La Hoya is advertising.
Right.
Because Canelo is not a guy that throws a lot of punches. He's a guy that throws about 40 punches around, 45 punches around. The average for middleweight is like, what, 65, 70? Yeah. Canelo may show him respect. He may be a little cautious in this fight because he may be wary of the counters. So, it's not a lock. It's not a lock that this is going to be a fight of the year performance from either guy.
I think Oscar's going about it the wrong way. Yeah, he's a promoter. He's trying to get people to buy the fight, but I expect it to be a lot like Jacobs Triple G. And by the way, Danny Jacobs, because of his performance, in my opinion, still earned a rematch. He deserves to have a rematch one day with Triple G. I don't expect this to be a one-sided fight. I do expect it to be a strategy. I do expect it to be tactical. But see, the thing with Mayweather and McGregor, everybody's jumping to the conclusion because so many people are McGregor fans. Oh, Conor's going to go in and do this. Oh, Conor's going to do that. Floyd Mayweather, whether you like him or not, he doesn't take a fight without knowing what the hell he's doing. He knows he's going to win this fight, and he also knows he's going to make a hell of a payday because of it. If he thought Conor McGregor was any kind of competition at all, he would not have agreed to this fight. Let's be honest.
But who's going to pay for a tactical fight? I mean, you're saying Triple G and Canelo is going to do. Who's going to pay for that? Nobody.
Well, not only that, De La Hoya is such a hypocrite because
he totally is.
Because what about how many Floyd Mayweather fights was De La Hoya involved in the promotion of? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if he, it's so hypocritical that every time this guy opens his mouth, because it was cool. Mayweather was the best thing since sliced bread when he was involved in the Mayweather fights. But now that he's not involved in it, boxing. Look at some of the things that you've done in boxing, Oscar. And again, you're a Hall of Fame fighter. You're an outstanding fighter. Can't take that away from you. But you didn't light the world on fire in every single one of your fights either. There was a lot of times where you couldn't pull the trigger, and you just didn't throw punches. Like in that Manny Pacquiao fight, right? You just stood there. You didn't even throw punches. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Manny Pacquiao had something to do with that because of his speed and everything. But let's not sit there and say that every fight that you've ever promoted or every fight that you were involved in was a great fight. I mean, you sat there and tried to sell us Canelo versus Chavez Jr. Mexican pride thing. These guys, another thing, these guys are going to go to war. That was a horrible fight. So don't be surprised. I'm just saying, and again, I'm not trying to jinx the fight. I'm not trying to throw shade on the fight. Don't be surprised if this Canelo Triple G fight turns out to be uneventful, because that happens in a lot of fights where you have two top-level guys. And you know what? You're complaining about them putting this fight on at this, in the same time frame that you're putting this Canelo Triple G fight on, right? Well, you deserve this, Oscar, because you let this fight marinate. People wanted this Canelo fight, Triple G fight, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and you made us wait. So you made us, and the only reason why you made this fight is because you thought Triple G has lost a step, because he hasn't looked great. He didn't look great against Jacobs, and he didn't look. People think he didn't look great against Cal Brook, but he knocked the guy out in 5 rounds. I mean, I don't know what you want. So what? He got hit a few times. You still walk right through the guy. But you saw what you wanted to see in those two fights, and that's why you made this fight. And he's getting older now. He's 35 years old. So you waited it out. You waited it out. And now you expect the world to stop now because, you're throwing this fight on now. If you really wanted to put this fight on and not be challenged, you would have put it on last year, because waiting a year and not putting it on the year before, it's not really going to make that much of a difference financially. The Mayweather fight, the Mayweather fight marinated. Wait a minute, Robbie. Wait a minute. The Mayweather fight marinated for 5 years. It marinated for 5 years or 7 years, whatever, and it turned out to be a bigger fight because people were mad. They were chomping at the bit for it. No, only diehards are chomping at the bit for this. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the same thing as Mayweather Pacquiao. Mayweather Pacquiao, when it was first proposed, it was a $25 million fight for both guys. Look how it expanded, and look at the purse difference from when it was first announced. It's not like these guys, if they fought last year, and we're going to make significantly less money than they are now that they're waiting a year later. You know what I'm saying? So there was no financial benefit to push this fight off a year or a year and a half or 2 years. The thing is they think Triple G is beatable now. That's why it's taking place now. So let's not skew this and try to sell this for something that it really isn't.
Right.
But all that being said, Triple G, I think, is still going to knock him out. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, realistically, Joe, the fight should have taken place the night that Canelo beat Cotto, and that should have been Canelo's next fight. Right after he fought Cotto, he should have fought Triple G. So what's the excuse for making him wait that long? I mean, the reason why, in my opinion, the reason why Triple G didn't look like what people thought he was going to look like against Danny Jacobs is because Danny Jacobs showed up in tremendous shape and actually proved to everybody, hey, you know what? I can actually fight. I don't blame that on Triple G. I blame Triple G's performance on how prepared Danny Jacobs was.
Yeah, I would agree.
Danny Jacobs can fight, man, and I would pick him over Canelo. 7 days, 365 days a year, and twice on Sunday. Danny Jacobs beats Canelo.
And I do believe that Danny Jacobs has earned a rematch with Triple G.
Without question.
Yeah. Back to Mayweather McGregor. They're going to use, it looks like they're going to use 8-ounce gloves. About a week ago, Floyd Mayweather took to social media and said they wanted to use 8-ounce gloves instead of the contracted 10-ounce gloves. McGregor shot back and said it doesn't matter what size gloves. Bob Bennett of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the executive director, told Sky Sports that they'll be voting on it next week. A quote, Mayweather's team has and McGregor's teams are in the process of submitting the request, and it'll be heard at the commission's next meeting, and that'll be next week. So the fact that both promoters have, submitted this, then chances are that's going to happen. So they will probably most likely fight in 8-ounce gloves. So there you go. Now let's talk about the undercard here real quick. Gervonta Davis faces Francisco Fonseca. The IBF Junior Lightweight Championship will be on the line when Gervonta Davis faces the very capable top contender, Francisco Fonseca. I have to tell you, had it not been for Paulie Malignaggi getting caught in a lie about being pummeled by McGregor, this would have been the train wreck of the week. Fonseca is 19-0 with 1 draw, 13 knockouts. There was a lot of misinformation going around about Fonseca's record, but he is unbeaten. He's ranked number 50th in the world, though. I would have rather seen Gervonta take a little bit more of a leap in this fight. But in all fairness, though, he was set. We heard Orlando Salido, and he was actually set to face Rocky Martinez. And for whatever reason, Martinez pulled out. The Salido fight couldn't be put together. So, you know, when you're up against it, and it's kind of what you come up with. So there you are. Also on the undercard, Thomas Delorme versus Sean Porter will take place. Sean Porter going to take on Thomas Delorme in a 10-round showdown that headlines the prelim bouts for Mayweather McGregor. This will be on Fox on August 22nd or August 26th from T-Mobile, obviously. What do you think of this fight, Robert? Sean Porter, Thomas Delorme?
I think this is an easy payday for Sean Porter. If Delorme couldn't handle Terence Crawford, he's not going to handle Sean Porter. Sean Porter is a very difficult style to prepare for, and I know Delorme. He's been driving Uber, and he needs to fight. But boy, did he ever get stuck with something he's not going to have a chance of winning.
Wow.
I think this is a showcase for Showtime Sean Porter.
Beeb, what do you think if Terence Crawford, wins this weekend, as we suspect he should? The other, we also suspect that he moves up in weight after this and vacates the belts. What do you think of him and Sean Porter?
Terence Crawford versus Sean Porter?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a fight,
awesome,
right?
Awesome fight, but I think it's a tough fight because of it. Sean Porter is a tough fight for anybody, man. I just love his grittiness, man. And again, I think he gets criticized, I think, unfairly because there is a method to his madness. Does have a great jab. He's a good puncher. He's a good combination puncher, and I think he's worked on a few things. I think he moves very well. I think he puts himself in good punching positions now. I think he, isn't as crude as people think he is. I think he really knows how to create space and really knows how to, manipulate his opponent and kind of, push him, give him that nudge and maneuver him where he wants to maneuver them. And I think a lot of that has to do with his physical strength. He's a very strong welterweight.
Yeah.
And he'll give you that little nudge, push you one direction, and then follow it up with a hook. He's just really good at doing that. And he's a good body puncher too. And again, he's got a real snappy jab. And he doubles and triples it up. And he's got quick feet. He's got really, really fast feet. Very fast feet. Arguably, he could have the fastest feet in the division right now that Manny Pacquiao slowed down. And I think that's a great weapon he has because that enables him to get up close and close the distance and get in guys' chests real fast. And it's hard for them to anticipate it and time those onward rushes that he does. So because of that, I think he's a tough out for anybody. And if he can get in Terence Crawford's chest and he can smother Terence Crawford, just blanket him up close like he did to Keith Thurman in a lot of spots, then it'd be a hell of a fight. And a lot of people think he beat Keith Thurman. I actually had Keith Thurman edging it, but that was a close competitive fight, man. That fight was hanging in the balance. I think
2 rounds.
Yeah, I think by him losing that last round, I think he lost the fight. But if he won that round, he could have actually pulled the fight out, or maybe even fight with a draw. So that was an awesome fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that I tell you what, I would have rather seen Sean Porter against Mayweather than McGregor. You know what I mean? I'd rather see Sean Porter because Sean Porter does have that style. He does have that style. So yeah. Oh man, people in the chat are giving me grief from being from Ohio. Guys are killing me here. Anthony Crawler versus Ricky Burns set for October 7. Anthony Crawler will face Ricky Burns in a lightweight bout to take place on October 7th in Manchester. Both fighters coming off losses, trying to bounce back. Crawler lost to Jorge Linares, and Burns lost to TBE Julius Indongo. Beeb, what are your thoughts on this fight right here?
Ricky Burns, I don't know, man. Ricky Burns versus Crawler. Both guys are like, again, this is what I've said before. When you have two fighters who are both in similar positions and similar places in their career, turns out to be a very good fight. Who wins this fight? I'm gonna go with Crawler.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Crawler. I think he's a little bit.
Yeah,
I think he's a little bit better.
Crawler will end the career of Ricky Burns.
Robbie, I think you're being a little bit dramatic here. I mean, Ricky Burns. How many times have we said? How many times has Ricky Burns lost and we said this is the end for him? This guy's like Kruger. He's got more lives than freaking Jason for Friday the 13th. He ain't going anywhere. Stop it.
I know.
But the thing is,
as a boxing fan, I can hope, but I still say Anthony Crawler will end the career of Ricky Burns.
Both guys fight in a similar fashion, but Anthony Crawler, I think, just has a little bit more left in the tank than Ricky Burns. And the big thing with Ricky Burns has been his punch output is totally went down. He's just not. He used to be this guy that was a real busy fighter in there. And he seems to fade in fights very quickly. Like midway through the fight, he's a totally different fighter. So I think Crawler will probably outlast him in this one, and I think he'll win a pretty competitive decision. Close competitive decision for Crawler, I'm gonna have to say.
Yeah. And then Juan Carlos Payano versus Alexis Santiago is set for August 22nd. Everybody knows Juan Carlos Payano is now known as the guy that got beat up by Rashid Warren, Cincinnati's own. And he's going to face Alexis Santiago on a toe-to-toe Tuesdays on FS1, and that'll be August 22nd. So there you go. Juan Carlos Payano. Good to see him back in action after taking the big L from Rashid. And, yeah, there it is. So, all right, guys, we're at the end of our rope, man. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. I told you it was a light week, guys. I told you.
And we still managed to get through it.
Yeah, there you go.
Almost 2 hours of great boxing talk here.
Unbelievable boxing content each week. There it is. Catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810. Leave him a message and tell him to purchase the Mayweather-McGregor fight. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. Find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we're going to set up a GoFundMe page for Robert. And I want everyone to donate to the Robert Fund so he can have so he will pay he says he's not going to dip into his own pockets. Let's buy him this fight, folks. We're going to set up a GoFundMe page for Robert for Mayweather-McGregor.
We're going to go on to Patreon. We're going to go on to Patreon. We're going to go on to Patreon and raise money for
That's what we're going to do.
That's it. All right, guys, we will catch you next week.
Good night, everybody.